Wonderful. So good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me here on Aspen Radio, Avon Psychic Radio, and Moonpsych TV. Again, always, every time I'm saying how delighted and how grateful I am to be able to be here and bring you various conversations, invite various very, very inspiring guests to our show. So this is our show, Zsuzsanna Medium, and I'm your host, Zsuzsanna Hörcsög. I'm a psychic, a medium, an intuitive teacher, a coach, a healer, and a therapist. And as I promised you a few weeks before, I'm continuing to bring you very, very interesting conversations. And today we have Bridget Ree from the UK. So let's meet Bridget here. So how are you?
Hello, good evening, everybody. I'm delighted to be with you. And could I have just a quick little special hello to my very dear American friends, Ruth and Dr. Joe Keller. Good evening or good day, my dear friends.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Bridget, thank you very much for joining us here. Now, I need to tell the audience that you are a channeling medium and an author of many, many books. But before we get to talking about your books, can you just say something about your spiritual journey? How did you get into working with spirit?
Right, okay. Well, I'll try to make it short. I was born in France, but I moved to England a long time ago, and I studied English at the university. Eventually, I became a teacher and lecturer in French in England. And when I was young, I often wondered what happened after death. And my school was Roman Catholic, but that dogma did not fit with me. I always worried about, things which didn't make sense to me. Also, I thought there was something which got kept hidden, because I had read the odd book talking about people communicating after death. In France, we did not talk about mediums in my days. And I thought, there's something missing. One little interesting incident I could tell you about is one day when I was about 15 years old, during a religious education lesson, the teacher was going on about hell is a place of fire and fears and tears and grinding of teeth. And I was listening like a good pupil. Then suddenly I heard a loud and very clear voice next to me saying in French, hell is not a place. Hell is a state of mind. It's a state of regrets and remorse. And I jumped and I was wondering who said that. I was very surprised. And of course, there was no one near me. So when I told my mom about that, when I got back home, she said, well, it makes sense, doesn't it? If you have badly hurt somebody on purpose, and then you pass over, you cannot repair the harm that you've done because your body is dead. But, there was a strange, that voice, I wasn't sure what it was. Now, of course, later on, I've discovered. So I didn't think about it anymore. And then a little extra thing as well, I discovered, you see, I did not see me ghost or spirit like some people do. I had those little insight and little feelings. Another curious thing happened to me when I was young. We had a piano, and from a very young age of 6 or 7 years old, I used to simply sit at the piano, and without any music sheets, no score, both my hands played lovely unknown melodies, the waltz. I composed music, and yet I had never studied it. But interestingly, when my hands were playing, I could sense and see music notes and sounds as colors. To me, sounds are colors, and to me it felt normal. Since then, I've learned it's called synesthesia. So all these little things made it interesting to me. Can I carry on again? Many years later, then I came to England, got married to a lovely gentleman called David Ricks, and I worked as a teacher and lecturer in French. So it just shows you I was really down to her feet on the ground. Now I'm retired from teaching, and sadly my husband's passed over as well. But once I was in UK, I discovered there were things like spiritualist churches and spiritualist center, and they were proving that you could communicate with departed and advanced teachers in the higher realms. So 38 years ago, I learned to tune in to the frequency of advanced communication, what I call jokingly my radio spirit world. And I'm mainly clairaudient, and I've developed my abilities that way. Do you want me to say more about that, Zsuzsanna?
You know, I'm just quiet because over the weekend when we were talking, you know, we found that we got quite a lot in common, you know, and when you were talking about how you started your channeling, so you know, when you mentioned you were sitting at the piano and spirit was using your hands. So when did you find that actually spirit wants to work with your hands, possibly in a different way?
Yes, that's what happened. Yes. Because when I started developing my psychic gift, I discovered I was clairaudient, which was the main thing. But when I gradually channeled advanced teachers, I used the writing pad. And the very first day or so, when I was, I looked at, somebody showed me how to try to write. So I had a pad and a pen. And the very first day when spirit came through, it was what we call the spirit guide. And I discovered or realized later that he was actually moving the pen and moving my hand with, spirit energy. They were just zapping my arm. It didn't hurt or anything like that. But I realized I wasn't writing it. I wasn't writing what was coming through, but it was quite slow. So the following times, when I sat again to tune in, I'm shortening things now to save time. I was told, do not use the hand, do not use a pencil, use a biro, a ballpoint. And the spirits use a different method. They decided to blend their mind with my mind. They decided to use telepathy. So now the way I communicate, or they communicate with me, I would call it telepathically guided automatic writing, because they guide the pen, but through my mind, and it's not me writing. And that's how they dictated about 7 books. So this is how, and if you want to see how it happens over all these years, I did the writing, very, very fast writing, like this. Not nice writing at all. It's extremely fast as my hand can write. And you can see it's all the lines. There's no crosswords. It's just pages after pages, about A4 pages, and it's constant writing. And when I receive it, I'm in an altered state. I know I'm in an altered state because once or twice when I was disturbed by a noise in the room, even though my eyes were supposedly looking in the paper, I realized that I wasn't really there. I must have been a bit out of my body, because there was a noise and I had the feeling that I was falling from the ceiling down onto my chair. It was a jerk. So I was in a kind of mild trance, if you like, it's unusually described. So obviously, I know it's not my mind writing. I know it's not my subconscious. And the kind of knowledge they put across over the years, or past 30 years, 38 years, is beyond any kind of knowledge I could have had ever. So yes, the piano playing and the writing, they were just trying different ways of doing it. So they use a pen, but by blending my mind, they must be pulling some, I don't know what, press some buttons in my mind to make it happen. It's not me writing.
Yes. So you see, I'm quite curious. When you start working with spirit, do they give you a little clue, or you tell them now I'm here and I'm ready to work with you? So how does it work for you?
Start, yes. Well, I usually have to relax. So I do not want people to think that I've got voices in my ears all day long. I don't. Clairaudience, as most people will know, it means clear hearing. I do not have voices in my head. I need to be very relaxed, to tune in, to have go into my little zone, as I call it. And then I listen to the silence. Over all these years, I've learned to practice to listen, what I call listen to the silence. And then obviously when I'm relaxed enough, suddenly I hear somebody said, "Hola, we're here." And you might talk to me. So if they are going to dictate, if they are going to talk for one long time, then the writing may be going on. Otherwise, of course, I could be getting some information. If I was to give sitting to somebody, I did not need to write. I could just get the information in my ears, and somebody is talking to me. Yeah. But I prefer to receive knowledge and books than giving sittings.
Yes. When you are receiving the information, do you have the chance to, even if you are very, very relaxed, but then, when it comes through, we could have like, I want to ask a question, or tell me more about that. So do you have that two-way conversation?
Yes. It's strange because the information comes, and the hand writes at the very same time as the words come in there, it writes a hand. So it's not me saying, just a minute, I write the sentence. It writes itself. Okay, so the writing is done by them somehow, fooling my brain and my whatever. Yes, but if there was something, I've learned over the years not to ask too many questions, certainly not 2 or 3 questions. If they said, if ever you want to ask a question, just one at a time, because they've got to process it, understand it, and then respond. I might just usually send like it's like half my mind sending a thought. Tell me more. What's that? Don't understand. And they carry on. And if I don't understand, they explain it a different way. They're very patient, very patient. And sometimes the odd time I said, I don't agree. It's terrible. because it was clashing with what I'd been brought up with. And they're very patient. They explain then, and eventually, I realize they're always right.
Yes.
So yeah, it's but the interesting thing about it as well is I could be writing a whole hour, maybe 2 hours, 8, 10, 15 pages. It's not tiring. And then afterwards, I will not remember what they were talking about. I might have maybe a vague feeling, it's about, nature or something. But if I don't read it straight away, I will not know. And the next day, for example, I thought, oh, yes, yesterday I did some writing. What was it about? And I don't remember. I need to read all this, scrolling of writing to know what it is. So it just proves to me that it's not my mind either.
Sure. Yes. So do you receive the information in English or in French, or it's a combination of everything?
I speak English I've always spoken English to my teachers, but I discussed the question of languages, and they said we don't really speak languages in our world, so we can use any language. It's the language that you have in your mind that you're happy with. So you like English, we do English. But when my mother just came talk to me, and my father as well, they spoke French after they arrived, and they spoke French. It was coming in French. But then gradually like my mother passed in 1999, which is 22 years ago. She's quite advanced now. She's not disappeared anywhere, but her focus is on the more advanced levels of thinking. And if ever she was to come to me, I realized that she said, I don't need to use a language. I just think. And we don't always think in words, we think in images, we think in impression. It's not always words. So she just does a thinking, and somehow that thinking of her thoughts get translated into my mind into whatever. So it's usually in English now because I'm just used to writing in English. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you see, now you've got 7 books. Spirit gave you, consciousness gave you 7 books, and then I know that there are different themes going through or coming through your writing. So can you say something about that as well, please?
Right. Well, the books, they could be divided like in two types, 2 groups. The first half, as I call it, the first 3 books, I could show it briefly. You see them behind me. It's a series of I'm Not Dead, I'm Alive Without a Body. And that's the 3 volumes of conversation that I have with my mother and my family and loved ones, and even some strangers as well. It's really lots of conversation from the other side with people who are alive in the spirit world. And it gives us a good idea what's like in the afterlife, what happens when we pass, what do we do, how we feel. It's very reassuring, telling you that you don't get judged by anybody on the throne punishing you. And indeed, hell doesn't exist. It's a state of mind. It's yourself. Yourself judge yourself. You judge yourself according to what you've done. And it really gives you a hope. For people who are grieving, it gives them hope because it's, right, we can communicate. My loved one in spirit can learn to communicate when they've calmed their minds. We shall see them again. And it also reminds us that during our sleep, you might all have heard of astral travel. During our sleep, we all meet our loved ones, whether you remember it or not. So you might have a dream of your loved ones, departed loved one, of course, I'm talking about. Don't let people say, it's only a dream, you've imagined it. Because my little gimmick is to show you that we are, as humans, we are like the little Russian dolls. You know my little Russian dolls, the wooden dolls, one inside the other? Yeah. Well, you think of the outside ones, it's the fresh body. And inside us is the real one, who I got it was all white, like a light. And it's our spirit, or real life, or being of energy. We are a being of energy. And we fly off because we are made of energy at night. When we sleep, we fly out of our body, and we reach a level of the universe where it would be the universal plug, the socket to recharge a battery like you recharge your mobile. But that level is a reception level of alcoholism spirit world, okay? The first level where people are. And our loved ones come to that level. It would look like a nice park or somewhere pleasant. And we actually meet. And this is what our mind might remember when you wake up in the morning. Oh, I saw my mom, my dad, my grandpa, my friend, my dog. We have met. It does them good because it recharges them, and it does us good, right? And the other books are dictated also, of course, by my teachers, and they wanted to dictate all that knowledge. And the first one is Truth, Lies, and Distortion, and what's like world beyond the spirit world. Then Up to Date with the earth being badly looked after by humans. They call it Help the Earth, Help You Survive Imminent Disasters, like all these volcanoes. And the very latest one, which is very good to help us nowadays, is The Golden Keys to Freedom and Hope. And it's only a very small book, and they just want to really give reassurance to people to try to not only how to look after themselves and how to survive all the problems, but all through the theme is you are a being of energy. We need to remember that, to think of it as spirit. We are a being of mind, creative power of your mind, creative power of your thoughts. Use it, use it, use it. You have many courses everywhere about positive thinking. What is that? Use your gifts, because this is what's going to protect you. This is going to protect you from outside negative influences, and also protect you to help you stay healthy, because every time we are negative, every time we have bad moods, every time we're depressed, every time we have fear, and nowadays everybody seems to be filled with fear because fear mongers are trying to fill people with fear. It knocks you down, it makes you lose trust in yourself, and if you are all down, depressed, and full of fear, automatically your flesh body will react and will reflect that, which means people become ill and people even die because they're so down and depressed. So it's very, very important to use the power of your thoughts. And this is what they try to explain. And so through both packets of books there, it's giving you hope, help you cope with grief. This is the I'm not dead, I'm alive, that body. And you'll see all these on my website, my website is italkwithspirits.com, spirit with an S, italkwithspirits.com. You'll see all my books explained in there, because I can't explain everything now. And of course, if you like more profound knowledge, then all the series of the Truth and Distortion, or the ones I was showing there, the teachings, they're called the knowledge books, are really fantastic, because I've learned a huge amount. Particularly everything in there I did not know. So this is why they insisted in doing it. And I wanted the knowledge. I said to them, why me? What dictate to me? And they said, you want the knowledge? Oh yes, I want to find out how was mankind how did mankind come on earth? How was the earth was created? All that. Why was the universe created? And you'd be surprised at what they tell us. It was an experiment in a new matter. And why humans on earth? Well, humans are beings of energy, spirit, who chose to come and disguise themselves in a flesh body to discover what's like to have 5 senses and enjoy the physical things. But also, they say it's because we wanted to learn to manipulate matter with our mind. What will you say? Well, think of your thinking. And your negative thinking affects your flesh. Flesh is matter, okay? Think of when you drive, your mind direct your body to drive properly or even to walk. So this is what we're doing on Earth, and many, many more things which are very fascinating.
Yes, so it sounds like, the material what you have received from spirit or consciousness, some of them are really something to do with our everyday life, that how we can work on ourselves. and then at the same time, much bigger, greater conversations, Now, has it ever happened that, you wanted to ask a question, or you were thinking, or you were feeling that there is a question in you, and then spirit or consciousness had a different idea, and then they would start talking about something else or giving you material, and then you might have got the answer maybe a few years later. Has it ever happened to you?
Oh, yes. Yeah. In fact, the very first time when I tuned in 38 years ago, and I just learned to use a pen and it came through, as soon as I realized that I had, a contact with the other world, wow, I'll be able to, this is 38 years ago, I thought I'll be able to find out how the world was created and everything else we asked. So I did ask there. This is just a few minutes after they started writing. Okay, tell me, how was mankind created and the universe? And instead of answering, I was waiting for the big answer. The pen wrote slowly because it was moving the hand at the time. And when I eventually looked, it just said, very tired, goodbye. And the pen dropped. And that was it. So then the following time when I sat again and I said, oh, why didn't you answer my question? It said, we shall tell you what you need to learn and what you can discover in good time when you're ready to absorb it. So if they had taught me all these 7, 8 books, they started dictating the 8th book, by the way, 8 books, 38 years ago, I couldn't have taken it. I probably would have given up. So they know what they're doing. They're very patient, wonderful teachers. So I want to say to everybody listening, please never feel alone. You all have a team of loving people, beings behind you. You all have a guide. You are never alone. Just learn to tune in, learn to relax, learn to meditate so that you can communicate yourself. Learn to sense, develop your sixth sense. And this is what our teachers are saying. And for now, when I was asking them, what can we say to people in this nasty, what's going on in the world? And they're aware of that. And they said they want to free the minds of unhappy people. So they gave us advice. In fact, they gave advice in this new channel book there, the Golden Keys. They say all beings are equal. Remember that, friends. This is from teachers. Okay? Reject bullying, peer pressure, domination, and manipulation. All beings are free. I'm looking there because I'm quoting them. All beings are free creatures. Do not harm each other. Don't forget the law of the universe. Do not harm any humans or animals. And if you see any in danger, help them. Then they gave tips to strengthen and protect our mind. And it's always using our thought power. So they say, have plenty of exercises like, imagine that you have light coming through you to give you strength and believe you're being strengthened. Imagine a beautiful light. Doesn't matter what you imagine as long as it makes you feel good. Imagine you have a big, I would say bubble, a big dome of light, like a shower of beautiful light coming over you and fill you up. And if you do that every day, you'll get used to it. You'll feel strong. And then when you have a bad situation or dangerous or a difficult situation, all you have to do is take a deep breath and just get that peace inside you and feel strong and remind yourself, I'm a being of power and I cannot be hurt. I can do what I need to do. I cannot be bullied. And also, of course, with your health, because our mind affects our body, then talk to yourself, your body, to talk to the cells of your body. You say, right, I've affected my body with my bad, negative or mood, whatever. Now I've learned my lesson. Now, body, get better. I've learned the lesson. I shall be more positive. Get better. Talk to the cells. Visualize it as if you are hovering, cleaning, washing the problem. Okay, do that. And never forget that you are an eternal being of energy. So you will survive. This is what they want us to remember. And finally, the message they had as well is that they're encouraging us to listen to the silence, like quiet meditation, just to be still, like I do before I tune in. Develop your sixth sense, sensing. Maybe you could use dowsing rods, if you know what dowsing rods are, like this. Or you can use a pen, and I like pens, and do little doodles. When you have a problem, a question, use it to doodle. Let your pen doodle, and you might find answers with words or drawings. So there's plenty to discover. And if you go on my website, italkwithspirits.com, you have my address. You can contact me and I can give you more tips. So we are never alone. we are beings of energy, and we are loved by the other side. So we need to send love out. And if we send love out, we'll reach everybody. Because after all, since we are all energy, all the 7-8 billion people in the world are energy, we are forming one huge, gigantic ball of a single energy. So we are affecting each other. We can help each other. So why hate and why be nasty? Let's be nice. Let's be good. And then everybody will profit and benefit.
Absolutely, Bridget, and I really appreciate, because what you just shared well, throughout your conversation here, especially now at the end, is really, really relevant to our time, the time what we are living right now. And then it's really a two-way process that that is our responsibility here on this earth, that we need to work on ourselves with meditation, with different practices. And then just like how you said, and then just like all the other masters say, or anybody, the consciousness, that when the time is right, or when it is the time that you receive, that you will receive. But then we need to do the work as well. We can't just wait that we are receiving, but then it's like a two-way process. So Bridget, we've got 30 seconds left. I'm really, really, truly grateful that you joined me, you joined us here. Thank you very much for all this wonderful conversation. And people can find your books, and I'm sure that everybody got inspired by your conversation here. So Bridget, thank you very much. Thank you. And the rest of us, thank you very much for joining me here on Aspen Radio, Ivana Psychic Radio, and Musak TV. That was our show, Zsuzsanna Medium, episode 19, and I'm going to be back next Tuesday. Please tune in and stay here. Next week, I'm going to bring you some readings and some other guests lined up. So thank you very much, and I'm grateful for being here. Thank you. Bye.